let's talk about an empire, one that officially collapsed almost 2,000 years ago, but in some really weird ways, it never actually left. We're talking about ancient Rome and how its invisible rules still, to this day, run your life. I mean, think about that for a second. It sounds crazy, right? How could a long-dead civilization have any real grip on our super modern, high-tech world? Well, it turns out the evidence is literally all around you, hiding in the things we do every single day without even thinking about it. So let's dive right into our first piece of evidence. And it's something so normal, so mundane, that even questioning it feels a little bit ridiculous. I'm talking about the simple act of standing in a line. No, seriously, ask yourself, why do we do this? We spend a frankly shocking amount of our lives in queues, just waiting. We obey this unwritten rule with an almost religious level of devotion. So where did this automatic, almost programmed behavior actually come from? You know the drill. We do it for our morning coffee, at airport security, at the DMV. We just automatically fall into line. It feels like a totally universal, fundamental part of modern life. But here's the thing. It is not a natural human instinct. It's a trained behavior. And there it is. That's the origin story. This habit comes directly from Rome's very practical need to manage huge, hungry crowds during the grain dole. You've got thousands of people who need bread, and a riot is always just one spark away. Rome's solution wasn't about being fair. It was about maintaining order. And this is where the real psychological genius kicks in. The line gives everyone the illusion of fairness. We're all in this together, suffering equally, waiting our turn. And when you organize suffering like that, people tend to put up with it. See, chaos leads to riots, but lines lead to quiet, orderly resignation. It's an absolutely brilliant tool for social control. And this really gets to the core of its legacy. Just think about that feeling you get when someone cuts in front of you. It's not just annoyance, is it? It's this deep, personal sense of betrayal. It's a moral outrage. And that's because Rome taught us to see the line itself as sacred. We're not just defending our spot, we're defending the system. All right, moving on. Let's look at our next exhibit in the Museum of Roman Control and see how this idea builds. We're talking about our modern obsession with documents, with contracts, and with all that fine print we never ever read. Oh, come on, of course you have. We all do it. We scroll past screen after screen of dense, impenetrable legal text, knowing full well we don't understand a single word of it, and we just click agree. Why? Well, because we're taking part in another ancient Roman ritual. You could say that if ancient Rome had a true religion, it was paperwork. Their legal documents were designed to be dense and confusing, because complexity creates authority. The fact that an average person couldn't understand it was actually proof that the system was legitimate. And as you can see, absolutely nothing has changed. It's the same playbook. This was a core belief in Rome, and it has survived perfectly intact. It didn't matter what you meant to do. It didn't matter what you thought was fair. The only question was, what did the document say? Today, that exact same logic ends arguments, torpedoes business deals, and settles court cases with that one final fatal phrase. Sorry, it was in the contract. So let's be honest. When you click I agree, you're not actually agreeing to anything because you don't know what it says. You are submitting. You are honoring a Roman tradition that was built to protect the system, not the person, by treating a document you can't possibly understand as sacred and binding. And this brings us to our third Roman invention, one that I'm sure every single one of us is intimately familiar with. I'm talking about the pure genius of bureaucratic delay. Ah, yes, the endless cycle of frustration. You need to get something done, so you fill out a form. Then you wait. Then you call a department, only to be told you have the wrong number. They give you another number, which sends you right back to the first department. It feels broken, right? Inefficient, maddening. But what if it's not broken at all? Rome figured this out centuries ago. They perfected the system. They understood that delay isn't a flaw in the system, it's the most important feature. Bureaucracy creates distance. It keeps people busy just trying to figure out the rules, and an occupied, exhausted citizen is way too tired to get angry and demand real change. Think about it. In a Roman bureaucracy, just like a modern one, responsibility just sort of dissolves. It evaporates as it moves up the chain of command. Everyone just does their one little part, so if the final result is a total disaster, well, no single person is to blame. It was just the process. Problems aren't meant to be solved, they're meant to be handled. And that's the ultimate trick, isn't it? The true genius of Roman bureaucracy wasn't just that it organized a massive empire, it was that it conditioned its citizens to see inefficiency, frustration, and endless waiting as just a normal, unavoidable part of life. We've had 2,000 years of training to just accept it. So okay, let's bring all of this together now, because when you look at these pieces, you start to see Rome's single greatest and most invisible achievement, the one thing that ties all of this together. Think about it. A rule that's enforced with violence or threats, sure, that's strong. But a rule that everyone follows automatically, without even knowing why they're following it, a rule that's only defended by saying, well, that's just how we do things, that is infinitely stronger. And this right here is the key takeaway. Rome's greatest structures aren't the aqueducts or the Colosseum. They are the invisible social structures, the habits of obedience that we all still live inside today. We follow the rules not because we're forced to, but because doing anything else just feels wrong. We've just walked through 3 perfect examples, right? The sacredness of the line, the submission to the contract, the quiet resignation to bureaucracy. These are all systems we follow without question, not because of any compelling logic, but because of pure tradition. They've become so normal they're invisible. And an invisible rule is the strongest rule of all. So I'll leave you with this final question to chew on. Now that you know what you're looking for, which of these ancient Roman rules will you spot out in the wild tomorrow? Because the next time you're standing patiently in a line, or blindly clicking I agree, or waiting on hold, just remember, you're not just being patient, you're being Roman.